They hated my cheesy oats, so I made them every day. The Tupperware container was warm in my hands, a comforting weight as I navigated the minefield of cubicles. Inside, my lunch a concoction of rolled oats, sharp cheddar, a dollop of Dijon mustard, and a generous sprinkle of garlic powder. Cheesy oatmeal. It was my comfort food, my power-up for the afternoon data dives at InsureCorp. The first few days, no one said a word. I'd microwave it, the aroma filling my little corner of the office, and eat in blissful silence. I'd even offer some to Janice at reception. She always politely declined, but with a smile. Then came Chad and Tiffany. Something smells interesting, Chad drawled one afternoon, wrinkling his nose. He and Tiffany were a matched set, perpetually perched on the edge of someone else's desk, dissecting the latest office gossip. Tiffany fanned the air dramatically. Is someone burning popcorn? It's pungent. I shrunk a little in my chair. It's just my lunch. Cheesy oatmeal. Chad chuckled, a low, rumbling sound. Cheesy oatmeal. Is that a thing? Tiffany's smile was tight. Sounds adventurous. I tried to laugh it off. It's better than it sounds, I promise. I didn't offer them a taste. Brendan, my supervisor, a man whose wardrobe consisted solely of variations of gray and navy, cleared his throat. He didn't look at me directly. Let's try to keep the workspace conducive to productivity, shall we? The following week, I varied my menu. Salad one day, leftovers from dinner the next. Still, the comments persisted. Did someone bring in fish? Tiffany would whisper loudly, even when I was eating a plain chicken breast. It's a unique bouquet of scents today, Chad would add, smirking. Brendan, ever the master of passive aggression, started leaving articles about office etiquette and mindful eating on my desk. He never explicitly mentioned my cheesy oatmeal, but the implication was clear. I was starting to feel genuinely self-conscious. Lunchtime became an anxiety-inducing event. I even considered skipping meals altogether. I was letting them win. Then, a slow burn began to ignite within me. Why should I have to change my perfectly harmless eating habits because two gossipy coworkers and a spineless supervisor couldn't handle the smell of cheese? That Friday, I made a double batch of cheesy oatmeal. I used extra sharp cheddar, a pinch of cayenne pepper, and a secret weapon, a tiny grating of Limburger. I knew it was a bit much, but a line had been crossed. The aroma was potent. It filled the entire floor. Chad and Tiffany's faces were priceless. Good heavens, what is that? Tiffany shrieked, waving her hand in front of her nose. Chad sputtered, it smells like a gym sock marinated in old cheese. I took a deliberate, slow bite, savoring the flavor. Delicious, I said, smiling sweetly. Brendan glared at me from across the room. I ignored him. David, the quiet, older data analyst who sat near the window, gave me a subtle thumbs up. He'd seen it all in his 20 years at InsureCorp. The next week, the cheesy oatmeal offensive began in earnest. I rotated between various pungent cheeses, Gruyere, Gorgonzola, even a particularly stinky Roquefort. I experimented with different spices, adding smoked paprika, cumin, and a hint of asafoetida for extra oomph. I strategically positioned myself near Chad and Tiffany's desks during lunchtime. I microwaved my oatmeal at precisely 12:15 p.m., ensuring maximum olfactory impact. I even started leaving the empty container on my desk for a few extra minutes after I finished eating. Chad and Tiffany retaliated. They sprayed copious amounts of air freshener, creating a cloying, artificial scent that clashed horribly with the cheesy aroma. They started making snide remarks about biohazards and health code violations. They even tried to subtly move their desks further away from mine. David, my unlikely ally, offered helpful advice. Document everything, Amelia. Every comment, every reaction, every air freshener assault. And remember, the key is plausible deniability. You're just eating your lunch. He also suggested adding a splash of fish sauce to my next batch. I politely declined. I researched the effects of different cheeses and spices on olfactory receptors. I learned that certain compounds could trigger specific emotional responses, like disgust or annoyance. I was becoming a cheesy oatmeal weapon of mass distraction. The office was becoming a battleground. Some coworkers were openly amused, placing bets on how long Chad and Tiffany could endure the onslaught. Others were annoyed by the constant drama and the overpowering smell. Janice at reception started wearing a small, floral-patterned face mask. One afternoon, I found a handwritten note on my desk, "Your food is disgusting, and you're ruining the office." It was unsigned, but the handwriting was suspiciously similar to Tiffany's. That's when I decided to escalate things. I made the ultimate cheesy oatmeal, a blend of Limburger, camembert, and blue cheese, seasoned with garlic, onion powder, and a generous dose of truffle oil. It was so pungent it could peel paint. The day I brought it in, the air in the office seemed to thicken. Chad and Tiffany looked like they were about to spontaneously combust. "This has to stop," Chad roared, slamming his fist on his desk. "It's inhumane," Tiffany started crying. "I can't breathe, I have a migraine." Brendan, looking flustered, marched over to my desk. "Amelia, we need to talk, this is getting out of hand." Before he could say anything else, Karen from HR appeared. She was impeccably dressed as always, and her expression was unreadable. "Amelia, could you come to my office, please?" My heart sank. This was it. I was going to be fired for my cheesy oatmeal obsession. In Karen's office, Brendan sat stiffly beside her. Karen gestured for me to sit. "Amelia," she began, her voice calm and measured, "we've received a complaint regarding your lunches. Specifically, their aroma." Brendan cleared his throat. "It's creating a disruptive and unprofessional environment." I took a deep breath. "I understand. However, I'm not violating any company policies. I'm simply eating my lunch. If my coworkers have a problem with the smell, perhaps they should address their concerns with me directly, instead of filing complaints and creating a hostile work environment." I pulled out the meticulously documented notes I had been keeping, detailing every comment, every reaction, every air freshener assault. I subtly highlighted Chad and Tiffany's note threatening to report me. Karen's eyes narrowed. "A hostile work environment. Can you elaborate on that, Amelia?" I calmly explained how Chad and Tiffany had been harassing me for weeks, making derogatory comments about my food and creating a negative atmosphere. I mentioned the note, carefully omitting any speculation about who wrote it. Brendan shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Karen turned to him. "Brendan, were you aware of this?" Brendan stammered, "Well, I thought it was just a bit of harmless teasing." Karen fixed him with a steely gaze. "Harassment, even in the form of teasing, is unacceptable in this workplace. We have a zero-tolerance policy." She turned back to me. "Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Amelia. We will investigate the matter further." The meeting ended without any clear resolution. I left Karen's office feeling a mixture of relief and apprehension. The next day, Chad and Tiffany were noticeably subdued. They avoided eye contact with me and refrained from making any comments about my lunch. I continued to bring my cheesy oatmeal. David, bless his heart, had quietly spread the word about Chad and Tiffany's previous workplace transgressions, minor infractions, like misusing the company printer for personal documents and gossiping about clients painting them in a less than flattering light. Their credibility in the office was rapidly eroding. Karen called Chad and Tiffany into her office later that week. I don't know exactly what she said, but when they emerged, they looked chastened and defeated. They were forced to attend a mandatory sensitivity training session. The irony was not lost on anyone. The cheesy oatmeal saga became a running joke in the office. Some coworkers even started playfully requesting my recipe. I politely declined, but I did offer small samples to those who were genuinely curious. Brendan, sensing the shift in power dynamics, started treating me with more respect. He even complimented my data analysis skills during a team meeting. One day, I was eating my cheesy oatmeal at my desk, enjoying the peaceful silence, when David approached me. "You know, Amelia," he said, smiling, "you've stirred things up around here in a good way. Sometimes a little bit of cheese is exactly what an office needs to shake things up." I laughed. "Thanks, David, I appreciate that." He winked. "Don't let anyone tell you what to eat, or how to live your life for that matter." Across the room, Chad and Tiffany glared at me from their desks. They looked miserable. I took another bite of my cheesy oatmeal, savoring the sharp cheddar, the pungent garlic, and the sweet taste of victory. The aroma filled the air, a constant reminder of their defeat. The office finally smelled like justice.